into Westminster Hall as well, looking at collective grief as well. Since when did that become a thing? And also we know a lot more information now about the funeral, so we'll be looking forward to Monday as well.
So you mentioned collective grief there, but I must say I've been taken aback by some of the ways that some companies have chosen to mark their grief, and some of the companies are like big shops have decided to draw a black curtain over some sweet stalls I saw before, which I'm pretty sure is not necessarily what the Queen would have wanted. But Michelle, thank you very much. Well, I look forward to viewing and listening to your show. Well, that's it from me today. I'll be back again tomorrow. That I will indeed. 3 until 6. Great to have you all on board. Really appreciate it. First, though, see you weather. I'm Alex Deegan with your latest weather update. The rest of today will be fine. There's a fair bit of cloud around, but most places seeing just a little bit of blue sky. A chilly wind is developing. We'll feature the weather tomorrow.
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
I can hear you, but you're very quiet.
Hello?
Hello?
Is that better?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can see you.
All right. I've just got to turn something off. Hold on. Ah, for fuck's sakes. Okay. How you doing?
Okay, not too bad.
That's good. It's recording, by the way. It does it automatically.
All right, no worries. Is it just us?
Yeah, it could work. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't got any means of contacting that woman.
I don't know how to put it onto. Hang on.
What device are you using?
Just my phone.
Oh, I don't know what it looks like on a phone. There you are. There you are. I can see you. Looking healthy.
Yeah.
Looking healthy. All right. Guess what?
What?
There's only 10 walks left.
10?
Yeah.
Out of 2 books?
Out of 3 books.
Wow.
But guess what?
What?
Geezer's only gone and released volume 4.
Really? How many books are in the new one?
Probably the same as in the other one. Others about 13.
Right. Hang on. What?
Fucking reading specs. My eyes are going.
No, my eyes are fine, actually.
Mine are going.
My eyes are all right. My hearing's all right. My walking's fucked.
Yeah. If you were going to be deaf or blind, what would you choose?
Deaf, most definitely.
Yeah, I think I definitely agree with that. Smell or taste?
I think taste and smell are they're kind of like I think like you lose one, you lose them both, I think.
Do you think so?
I think you lose an awful lot. I think if I think smell is I'd keep smell, I think, because I think people who can't taste, I think they can't smell either.
Hmm. So this is the Notting Hill walk. Can you see this? This is going to look very small right now. Why aren't I on the screen as well?
I can see you in the...
There we go. There's both of us now.
Right. I can't. I'm going to see you.
Oh, well, lucky you. So this was the Notting Hill walk, where it was just you, me, and a a weirdo, a lady.
What was her name? I can't even remember her name.
I think it was Amy. I think I discovered it was Amy.
Oh,
Doesn't matter how we know her. She's a new acquaintance, but it's good that she came. So we met at Notting Hill Tube, Beamish, Baleful. And not much to say about that, but then the first thing that we went to was Ladbroke Square, which we could not enter as it's the
that's
private
right,
communal garden in London, one of 13 that are dotted around Notting Hill.
Yeah.
So
there was a family just coming out, and they went into the house like over the road.
Yeah. I thought I'd set this. This is annoying. Can you see that?
Financial Times?
Oh, the picture.
No, it's just text. Oh, yeah, I can see it now. Yeah, we didn't see that really. We just saw like railings.
Yeah. It's not open to the public, but it is a couple of days a year. You have to, sign up to things to find out. And then we kept walking. It was Notting Hill was the origins of the place name Notting Hill are unclear, although an early derivation, Notting Hill, was recorded in 1356. The gate comes from the road toll gate that operated there between 1769 and 1864. The next thing we were taken to, unless there's something specific about a street, we'll just go from bit to bit, you know what I mean? Do it like that. At the end of the square, you reach Ladbroke Grove. It's a long, busy road that runs from Holland Park north towards Kensal Green. And we walk up the hill. Anything to say about this?
It was a pleasant walk. It was a nice afternoon. It was the air good. It was a nice day.
The weather was nice.
Yeah.
The name Ladbroke becomes because the Notting Hill district remained largely rural until the westward expansion of London reached Bayswater in the early 19th century. The main landowner then was the Ladbroke family, who I think are of the betting shops. And from the 1820s, they began to lay out residential streets to meet the housing needs of the capital's growing middle class. This explains why so many of the streets around here bear the Ladbroke family name. Then we came to the Church St. John. It dates from 1845. I must state about how he mentions how many of the houses around here, they date from the 19th century, and they're often immaculately kept. And largely, I would agree with that.
The houses around there.
Yeah.
Yeah, very nice houses, very big, very expensive houses.
Pretty immaculate.
Yeah.
There's not much to say about the church. We didn't enter it. It's from 1845. Early neo-Gothic.
There's like a wedding going on there. Something going on there.
Is it that one? Was it that early, that wedding thing or whatever it was?
Yeah, because we walked around, I think, like, as we walked around the church, like, all the people were at the back.
I think it was a Ukrainian takeover or something.
Yeah, they weren't English, definitely.
And there was a little sign saying Ukrainian get together if you're of the religious bent. So the next thing is that there we are. I should delete the ones that I've gone through because that makes it easier to navigate. It's just, that's crap. That's a nice picture. Oh, that's the Hippodrome, Notting Hill. That's what it used to look like. Can you see that on your phone?
That's the church was built on top of that.
The church is, there's a church in the picture there, but
That was the kind of area where we were.
yes. Hence all the upping and downing. You know what I mean? Because there was a bit of upping and downing, wasn't it? Wasn't it? So people would sit here.
That was man-made.
I'll just try to read it out without being too. Besides the church is a plaque recording that this was once the heart of the old Hippodrome racecourse, which originated in 1836, when local entrepreneur John White leased 200 acres of land from James Weller Ladbroke to create a racing emporium more extensive than Ascot or Epsom. Spectators would have stood at the summit of Notting Hill looking down on the horses racing below. But the enterprise was short-lived as the course was blighted by waterlogging and caused the horses to suffer terrible injuries. This problem, combined with hostility White faced from local residents whose rights of way had been impaired, ensured the Hippodrome was a commercial failure, and by 1841 it had closed. So you can see all that in this picture, can't you?
It's very small on my phone, but I can see it. Yeah.
Do you not have a laptop?
I have, but it's in the other room. I'm not moving.
Okay. Well, it's a good picture here. It's a great picture. I will put that on the in the video. It's an excellent fucking picture, actually. You really get the idea of what's going on. After the new housing, however, the Hippodrome outline can still be traced today in the crescent-shaped roads that circumnavigate the hill. The next thing we went to was, I'm going to, just let me drag that onto my desktop, actually. There you go. Plop. What? No. There we go. Next thing. Can you remember?
Was it Jimi Hendrix Hotel?
That's right, yes. We walked up Lansdowne Crescent to find the hotel where Jimi Hendrix died.
Choked on his own vomit.
It wasn't somebody else's. He didn't choke on somebody else's vomit.
No, it was his.
Number 21 and 22 was once the site of the Samarkand Hotel, where Hendrix was found unconscious on the morning of the 18th of September 1970 by his girlfriend, Monica Daneman. I think she was only his girlfriend for a month or so, but she's dined out on that, you know, for the rest of her life. I guess you would, really.
Yeah.
You've got to use what God gives you, as they say, you know. And God gave her the death of Hendrix. He was certified dead on arrival at hospital. The official cause of death given as inhalation of vomit and barbiturate intoxication. But he didn't live there, did he? He lived in Soho, Camden.
It's not. Yeah, that's not his house, but his house is in London.
Soho.
Is it Soho? I can't remember. It's somewhere. It's got a plaque. I know. I've definitely been past it somewhere.
I think we've definitely covered it in a previous walk. I think he certainly spent some time in Soho. He shared a house that Mozart was at one point.
That's right. Yeah.
But I don't know that that's in Soho. That's more.
I think it's on the up near UCL that way.
That's right. It's definitely in a previous walk. Did you get anything particularly off of this? Is it, you know, this bit?
Well, I have the only thing that I have heard, I've kind of heard some sort of conspiracy theories about around his death. You know, that he was kind of organized, or that's what I've heard. I don't know. I mean, I don't know any more than that. I haven't done any research into it, but
didn't you suggest by his manager?
Yeah, by his manager.
I looked it up when I got home. I don't have it here right now, but he was managed, but by the guy, the same guy who managed the Animals, I think.
The Animals.
Yeah, and then also co-managed by the drummer from the Animals for a short while. But as for nefarious doings, I don't know.
Well, yeah, I don't know. It's something that I heard. I'm not sure.
Actually, I need the light on. Okay, so there was that. I'm not a huge Hendrix fan. I like Electric Ladyland, the album. He's talented, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's the only one that I had. Electric Ladyland.
Yeah,
Pretty good though.
yeah. I used to smoke a few bifters to that back in the day. Then we moved on to Pottery Lane. This area's old nickname, the Potteries. In the 19th century, this area's old nickname was the Potteries. In the 19th century, this was a slum and also a centre for the manufacture of bricks and tiles. The industry exploited the heavy clay deposits found in the area, and the bricks and tiles produced being fired in a series of local specialist kilns. Walk up Walmer Road, and on the right-hand side, you'll see a rare example of a 19th century bottle kiln. That was good.
Yeah.
Bottle kiln was nice.
Yeah, I think if you go to Stoke-on-Trent, there's loads of those kilns, like lots of them together.
Funny you should say that, because I posted the picture of the kiln on Instagram, and it got a like from some woman who does I don't know what you call it when you have something round and you stitch through it to make a picture. I don't know what that's called.
Oh, I know what you mean. Tapestry.
Yeah, but she's the pictures. She's from Stoke-on-Trent, and all of her pictures were of bottle kilns.
Yeah. It's famous for the bottle kilns.
Right. Yeah, so I put a like on one of her tapestries of a bottle kiln. The area was also known as the Piggeries, after the pig farmers. Yeah, the Piggeries.
Yeah.
Now you won't. Well, these pictures aren't very good. There's the kiln, but that doesn't matter. You know what it looks like. All right. The Piggeries. But I could only find this one picture. I could only find this one. Damn it.
Are you still there?
Yeah, I am. I'm just trying to find this picture. It's taking forever. The wrong picture to pick. I could only find one picture of a pig in that area.
One picture.
Yeah, but it's a good picture. But
there was a piggery there.
Oh yeah. But I could only find, when I typed in piggery, Notting Hill, it keeps sending me to the same stupid fucking website to get this picture. Bloody annoying. All right, well, we're gonna have to miss out on that.
All right.
It was a piggery after the pig farmers who moved there in the early 19th century, having been forced out by the development of the land around Marble Arch. By 1830, the ratio of pigs to humans was judged to be 3-1. That's 3 pigs to every to every 1 human. And
I would have liked to have gone there in its heyday.
I wouldn't have minded being not a pigger, but a drover, the guy that drove with a little stick. You would drive your little tribe of pigs down the through the muddy from the countryside through the muddy streets
Do you know
to the area.
Do you know that Edward Lear nonsense recipe for Gosky patties?
No.
You know Edward Lear, the Victorian like children's, he did limericks and children's stuff.
I haven't studied him.
Okay, well, he did this is called Nonsense Book for Children. It had all these limericks in it, and there's nonsense cookery, and he does these nonsense recipes, and one of them is for Gosky patties, which involves part of the recipe is getting a pig, and you tie the pig up to like a post, and you have to beat it with a stick.
What?
It's kind of thing, yeah.
What, to tenderize the meat?
No, it's just nonsense, because like the pig is the pig is introduced as part of the method of making these things, but then it's tied to a post and beaten on the hour, but then it doesn't actually ever come into the recipe. This is
just sheer animal cruelty.
Yeah, it was. I guess that was okay in Victorian times.
Yeah, but some child might go and do that.
Well, because my mum used to read it to me, and we used to laugh about that bit, like beating the pig. And
you've got grown up to have quite a sadistic streak.
Well, you know,
we won't talk about that. Kicking people in the balls in your Martins. Well, I liked that bit about the piggery.
Yeah, me too. I could really feel that. I felt like Notting Hill surrounded by pigs was a good idea.
Yeah, bring them back.
Yeah.
Then there was number 77 Pottery Lane, which you didn't actually go to, but that was used for the exterior shots of
Notting Hill, the movie?
No, Michelangelo Antonioni's cult film Blow Up.
Oh, Blow Up. Yes.
David Hemming.
Where was that? Where was that? Oh, by the
number 77 Pottery Lane.
Is that the bit where he photographs them? Is that where his studio is?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Exterior shots of the photographic studio.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember now.
I'd like to go to the exterior shots for Peeping Tom studio.
There's a guy on YouTube who's kind of done a kind of remake of all the all the kind of outside locations of Blow Up, and it shows it split screen, so you've got the film itself, and then you've got like where it was shot today. It's quite interesting.
I need to get into doing this is a by the by, maybe I'm wasting time, but it's I went up and I did a field recording up at Boudica's tomb.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't sound like much, but compared to, our highest audience has got like 25 listens thus far.
Yeah.
Something like that. But I put the sound of Boudica up, and I got like 35 listens in a week.
Yeah, now have you seen those what you can do if you get like the sound of rainfall?
Yeah.
Like the sound of thunderstorms.
Yes.
I've seen people have been making this thing. It's like you get like some found footage, and you can just download the sound of rainfall, and you put it on the free footage, and you turn it into like a 2-hour video without doing anything. You can just put it on YouTube and start like monetizing it and making.
Yeah, you set it as a kind of a sleeping aid or a meditation aid sort of thing.
Yeah.
You just got to like market it right.
I haven't done it myself, but if you wanted to make a few extra pennies, it'd be probably worth it.
I want to make a bit more effort than that though. Like go to special places and
yeah, no, historical sounds. That's a good idea. Yeah, you should do it.
Yeah.
I'll help you edit it if you want.
Well, I want it to be as au natural as possible without hopefully any edits.
You might want a few, like, sort of few tweaks on it.
Yeah. Well, we should definitely do one of those the Knights Templar Church. We still need, there's a lot of places we need to go back and visit, but like with those, I'd want to be chucking one up every week, because they're that easy to make. You just got to get there, press record, come home.
Well, I think it'd be good to actually film some of the actual walks while you're on the actual walk, and you could put them up as videos of you actually doing the walk. I think it'd be more.
I think the walk is too difficult to film. The walk is too difficult at the moment. It would be okay if I was on my own, but taking people makes that very difficult.
Do you think?
Yeah, because I'm having to like look after. Oh, are they happy? Are they bored? I need to. Oh, sorry, that I need to film that again because I didn't quite get it right. But if we're going to one single location, then yes, we can do some filming. If it's just like 1 hour of the ambient sounds or whatever of that church,
yeah, that'd be a good idea. Yeah,
then you can do some filming, because we all know, whoever's there knows we're here for 2 hours or whatnot. We know what's going on. Please yourself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fine.
So, but yeah, and that. So I think that could go somewhere. Anyway, next he took us, and now this is the last time I'm going to mention this. I'm going to skip every following mention of this. He took us to Rossmead Gardens, where the main characters from Notting Hill film run in there at night for a tryst.
Oh yeah, and
we couldn't. It's a private garden.
The girl who was with us, what's her name? Amy, you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, Amy was saying about the brake spears.
Yeah, I couldn't take all that in. Some conspiracy stuff.
The brake spear family. So you won't find them on the Wikipedia because they're too hush hush.
I mean, okay. I didn't know what she was going on about though. We weren't allowed in either. It's telling me that we've only got 10 minutes left of this meeting. So I'll have to set up another one when it finishes. It just immediately when it finishes, Si, and chuck you the link.
All right.
Okay, so that's that. Park Rossmead Gardens. The next thing was number 60, Rossmead Road. Also, we did see a nice sign about somebody called Osbert something who did cartoons. We need to research that.
Yeah, you need to find out who he was.
Yeah, I will place one of his cartoons here in the video. Now, who lived at 60 Rossmead Road?
It was the president of India, was it?
The first ever Prime Minister
of India.
Yeah, Jawaharlal Nehru.
Yeah.
1889 to 1964. So that must have been after we got out the British Empire. So we've got to leave you to it. Although, I don't know how the empire operated in India, but I mean that must be the final moment. Or maybe not. I'd have to show you my absolute ignorance here. Okay. I mean, there wasn't much to say about that. It was a nice road. They were very, very pleasant roads to wander.
Yeah.
All the houses were all like different colours of pastel, weren't they?
Yeah, purple and mustard and all different shades.
Yeah, you get that in those posh areas. And we joked about how it all looks nice on the outside, but when they have the local residents meeting about who gets what color, it's like, the claret pours.
Yeah.
Portobello Road was our next stop, which I found interesting that Portobello Road, the name originally comes from Portobello Lane was named after Puerto Bello, a port in the Gulf of Mexico that exported treasure to Spain. The British Navy under Admiral Sir Edward Vernon captured the port in 1739, and subsequently many pubs, streets and districts throughout the British Empire were named after Vernon and Puerto Bello.
Yeah, it's like Puerto Rico, isn't it?
I think, well, Puerto means port.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, but like we don't do that anymore, do we? You don't have like you know, Afghanistan Road, or
No.
it's just not done these days. You can't celebrate a bit of slaughter these days.
Yeah.
No, they call it progress. It used to be a farm. It was originally a rural lane. Portobello Road was originally a rural lane leading to Portobello Farm in the north of Notting Hill. And the origins of the famous market began in the mid-19th century, where oxymoron, local gypsies congregated here to trade with herbs and horses. It's going to end. Oh, we've got 5. Oh, sorry, we've still got 5 minutes. I call this part of London Wanker Town, and but I don't anymore. But I do still that specific part. But Notting Hill in general, I no longer would call. I wouldn't give it a blanket.
Yeah.
Wanker Town. I'd say Portobello Road. That's still Wanker Town. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think I've definitely sort of. I mean, I never really like. I'm kind of ambivalent about it, really. But I mean, exploring the kind of the greater area of it has definitely made me more appreciative of the area.
We ended up sitting down here for a drink, didn't we? Because I overshot, so we needed a rest. Well, you had a moment at the Record and Tape Exchange.
Well, no, it was just wanted to look at the Rough Trade Records, the original Rough Trade Records shop, which is still there. I used to go there as a kind of like teenager to like find like obscure records that you couldn't get in where I lived at the time. So I used to travel up to go to the Rough Trade shop.
What was the best obscure record you got? There.
I remember I got a Snake. Do you know Snake Finger?
No.
I got a Snake Finger 7-inch vinyl, which was one of my favorite records.
Is he a blues guy?
He's like a kind of sort of new wave guitarist.
Okay. Yeah, not much more to say about that, really. Portobello Road. He does some more of that shit film that we will not mention. He talks more about that. And then we continued down, and we missed the comedian Peter Cook's house and the Virgin boss Richard Branson, who both lived at number 19 Denby Terrace.
Yeah.
But funny enough,
they lived in the same house, but not at the same time.
No. Funny enough, I just mentioned Peter Cook at that moment when we should have taken that turning.
Yeah.
The house next door to the number 18 featured in the film The Italian Job. Then we were taken to the Electric Cinema, where we were introduced to the figure who would now shadow us.
Christie.
Who did it?
Christie Dannett. Hey, what's Christie Dannett?
John Christie. John. What's his? Reginald Christie. He of the bad back. He worked as a projectionist at the Electric Cinema. So if you ever go to the Electric Cinema, you can sit there thinking, God, you know, a serial killer worked here. Yeah, ran the projector. Dating from
I thought it was interesting actually that Christie would be sitting in a little dark room, you know, with all the paraphernalia of the projectionist. It kind of it sort of seems to suit his character somehow.
He liked paraphernalia.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a bit of paraphernalia to you know, his hobby.
Gas his victim. Yeah.
Yeah, his hobby involved a lot of paraphernalia, and it's kind of weird of him projecting fantasies out for everybody to watch. And
Yeah,
has his own very private, dark fantasy.
Yes, going on in his head.
Yeah, that he projects just in the theatre of his own mind.
Yeah, it was interesting. I thought it was. I was quite glad. I wasn't glad to find out, but it was an interesting little bit of extra knowledge.
Yeah,
that's what he did. Oh.
We've got 1 minute left on this chat, so
okay. I don't know.
Speak.
Hello.
Good. Okay, I'm just going to go for a piss.
All right.
Sorry about that. Okay. So where were we? Christie, the murderer.
Christie done it. Was Christie who done it?
I can't remember why that guy confessed to it.
Because he was a fucking retard.
Yeah, the Electric was dating from 1911. This is England's first purpose-built cinema. It was originally named the first purpose-built cinema. So cinemas previous to this were converted, you know, theatres or music halls and stuff like that. Dating from 1911. During World War I, the cinema was stoned by locals who suspected its German manager of using lights to direct Zeppelins on their bombing runs.
Yeah, never mind you've got a serial killer projecting the films, just won't complain about that. But they weren't to know that, though, obviously.
When was Christie operating?
I've absolutely no idea. I don't know.
I don't think it was during World War One. Might have been between the wars. We'll find out later. I can actually skip ahead. Oh, no, find out. He was, well, he wasn't operating seriously until 1943.
All right.
There's some more crap about that film. And then we travel to I've got to go and get myself some more tea, rubber lips.
Oh yeah, Powis Square.
That's right, Powis Square, the one and only. 25. The home of debauchery. I'm normal. What was all that about then, Si? What's at 25?
It's the outside location for the house where the fictional character Turner failed sort of a kind of aging rock star is living in the film Performance by Nick Rogue and Donald Cammell.
That's correct. That's correct. Yeah. This was for you. You said something about this was, this is it now.
Well, I couldn't believe that it was that close to Rough Trade, which I used to go to all the time. It was practically around the corner, and I didn't realize it was so close. And I could have just done it myself, like all those years ago, because I was, Performance is a great film. I remember, being fascinated by it, since I was a teenager.
Yeah, it's a cult film that many young men really get into. Why do you think that is? Because he's got 2 girlfriends or something.
I think Anita Pallenberg wandering around naked has probably got a lot to do with it. But like the whole kind of mystique of like the kind of 60s, hippie sort of druggy time, it's very appealing to young ne'er-do-wells.
Yeah, it certainly would have been in the past, but maybe all the young people are too woke these days, and it's probably got numerous.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't like it. When they go, what's that shit?
The rumor is that Keith Richards sat outside in his Rolls Royce, fuming with jealousy while.
He didn't like it because he was going out with her, I think, at the time, and he didn't like all the the shots of them naked.
Didn't he steal her though off of Brian Jones?
Brian Jones originally, I think, was going out with her, and then Keith Richards stole her off Brian Jones. God knows, he probably went through the whole lot of them.
But Mick Jagger never officially,
Never officially. I'm sure he sampled the goods, so to speak.
The next thing was All Saints Church. Can you remember what happened there?
Tabernacle?
No, the All Saints Church.
Oh, that was the Pink Floyd used to play there when they were early Pink Floyd with Syd Barrett.
That's right. It was called the London Free School. It was an underground scene in the late 1960s, a loose collective of idealists, organizes events for local people, hosted various social nights. Events featured so-called sound light workshop of Pink Floyd, some of their very first appearances. But the actual building that they did perform in has now been knocked down. So
but it's just interesting to know that those 2 locations were sort of pretty much next door to each other. It's quite incredible, really.
Yeah, it might be. You could maybe worth doing a little sound piece around that area.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Just between those 2 spots.
Yeah.
And there's a later place where we could do one, but it would be super morbid. But we'll talk about that later. I found that interesting. All that. I'm not going to read out everything that he says in the book, but if you're into the 60s stuff, flower power, LSD, and all of that. And then he says, it was during this period in Notting Hill that Pink Floyd's original member, Syd Barrett, is said to have written the band's early hit, See Emily Play, after meeting Emily Young. Young is now...
free game, isn't it? Free games for me. Is that something to do with the free school, perhaps?
I don't know all the lyrics. I just sort of take them as a thing, Young is now regarded as one of England's greatest sculptors. However, in 1966, she was the aristocratic flower child who tries but misunderstands, dressed in a gown that touches the ground. So he's saying that she didn't get it. She didn't understand the scene. She wore all the clothes.
She bore the clothes, but she didn't have the... she never took the trip.
Yeah, she's just a tourist.
Yeah. Tourist in Bohemia.
Yeah, but I've never even seen her art, though. Have you?
What was her name again?
Emily Young.
I can't say I have, no.
But then she went to a school nearby and went as part of the London Free School scene with her school friend, the future actress Angelica Houston.
Oh wow! So Angelica Houston went out with Sid Barrett. That's mad.
If we went there during the day, Powis Square Gardens are open to the public.
Oh, that would be good then. That's another reason to go again then.
That could be a picnic. Although
Well,
it's getting...
the girl that we were with, she said that they did a screening of performance outside, like in that park.
And she said it was at the Tabernacle.
Oh, I can't remember. No, I think she said it was in the park, like outside the house.
She laughed malevolently that nobody turned up, which
That's right, yeah.
I gave her a black mark for that. But she scored a point later on. The reason why that park is open is because local residents and hippie activists protested about children being at risk from traffic whilst playing in the streets back in 1968.
Yeah.
Okay, the next thing we went to was the Tabernacle. It's a community arts centre, but also where in the past the Rolling Stones and Pink Floyd held rehearsals and the Clash played gigs. It's a Grade 2 listed building, originally a Christian evangelical place of worship. When it's called in 1880s, when it's called the Talbot Tabernacle, after the Talbot family who owned a freehold of nearby Portobello Farm. The London Free School was also involved in the transformation of the Notting Hill Carnival. And then he goes on about some slum landlord for a bit. That's a bit boring. But you went into the Tabernacle.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like the girl we were with, she kept going on about how great this place was, and I felt like I had to go in there. So yeah, I had a quick look around, use the toilet, and and then you were listening in to some interesting conversation as we came out.
Yeah, they must have a bar in there because outside it had sort of public.
Yeah, there was a big bar there.
Was there many people in it?
There was a few people eating in there, I think they've got they do food in there too.
Well, I was outside having a crafty fag cigarette, and I couldn't help but listen into the conversation going on a table, and it was these gangsters, a gangster family, talking about how he didn't love Terry. Terry loved him. He was just using Terry. There's gay Trey, and then there's fucking evil, and all this kind of stuff,
Well, it sounded to me like that's when you need a sound recorder. You should have just recorded it on your phone. I couldn't believe you didn't record it. That would be.
My phone had run out of jism by then.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does that. My phone, it's not good for. It doesn't last very long. The battery on it. Yeah, I can't remember all of what they said, but I think it was the Addams family. I looked it up I went trying to find a gangster in London with the name Terry, and the only big one, because he goes, because we were a big, powerful family. He wanted to make a statement and he stabbed that guy on the dance floor. But like, I'm surprised that they'd be shocked about someone stabbing someone, because if you look at if you research them, they're like nasty pieces of work. They got a few bodies on them,
Well, maybe it might not have been them. Could have been just like a local family, isn't it?
No, it's definitely them, because like they would drink. No, it's definitely the Addams family. All fits the right sort of period and stuff,
Well, maybe. Who knows?
But I couldn't find some notorious homo that walked around with them either, though. But I think it's definitely them. So yeah, that was that. Continue north across Westbourne Park Road into All Saints Road, which must be where that band, the All Saints, sort of come from. Must be from Notting Hill, because that's how they must have got their name. It's now fairly genteel. It used to be the hippest place in Notting Hill, and where turn-on West Indian and English feasts were served to celebrities such as Jimi Hendrix, Sammy Davis Jr., Marvin Gaye, Nina Simone, and Vanessa Redgrave. It's interesting if you're into that West Indian situation. In 1976, another riot broke out in this part of Notting Hill after it talks about Teddy Boys scrapping with the Rastas or whatever. In 1976, another riot broke out in this part of Notting Hill after confrontations between locals and the police during the carnival. Rock legend has it that the Clash's song White Riot was inspired by Joe Strummer's and Paul Simon's participation in the disturbance. The band's spiritual aim is often described as being at the north end of the Portobello Road and under the Westway. It was here in the 1970s that I would meet up and where they played their early gigs. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the Clash. The band took every opportunity at the start of their career to be photographed under the elevated motorway. In their song London Burning, they include the lines, up and down the Westway, in and out the lights. What a great traffic system, it's so bright. Can't think of a better way to spend the night than speeding around underneath the yellow lights.
Yeah.
So he was getting at that.
Yeah.
Other bands that emerged from the alternative scene in Notting Hill in the 60s and 70s included Hawkwind, Deviants, and the Pink Fairies. He points out a road where Michael Hutchence, who did he die of a sex sort of thing where he was tying himself up?
Yeah, like in his cupboard with a belt around his neck.
Asphyxiation, self-asphyxiation.
Yeah. And
she died of heroin overdose.
Because he died, then she killed herself, yeah.
Then there's some Withnail and I stuff.
Yeah.
So if you're into Withnail and I, then you'll like this walk. I'm not going to spend any much time on it, really. Everybody knows Withnail and I. Then he takes us to the Psalm West recording studios. Was once home to Chris Blackwell's Island Records. Bob Marley recorded here. Led Zeppelin recorded Stairway to Heaven. Trevor Horn, ZTT. And it was where they filmed the video for Do They Know It's Christmas? Where we've also been to where that was written.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. Recent clients of the studio include Madonna, Paul McCartney, Roger Waters, and Radiohead. Again, another thing to do with that shitty film. Continue along the Portobello Road under the roaring Westway, which opened in 1970. The Westway has inspired many artists and writers over the years, most notably the late J.G. Ballard in his tale of modern alienation, Concrete Island. In the book, an architect breaks down on a 2-mile elevated motorway, but is unable to stop any cars to assist him. Injured, he is forced to survive in a desolate slipway, tormented by a strange woman and her simple giant of a companion, who together thwart his attempts to escape. And J.G. Ballard was a big influence on Ian Curtis, so, you know.
Yep.
That's how it goes, isn't it? I thought that was interesting. But being under the Westway didn't give you much of a sense of anything, you know? I didn't feel like, you know what I mean?
No.
Is there a way that you could get up onto the Westway?
I don't know.
Oh, if we'd gone up the footbridge, which was beside the pub that stood in for the Mother Blackcap in Withnail and I, that footbridge would have taken us over the Westway.
Right.
Crosses over the Westway with the distinctive Trellick Tower, which we'll come back to in the background. And then he talks a lot about immigrants and stuff walking in, and then it takes us to a place which is this shop. Walking in, all these fucking immigrants just walking in like it's a fucking. Then he takes us to a shop that used to be I Was Lord Kitchener's Valet.
That's right, yeah.
Where Jimi Hendrix, Eric Clapton, and members of the Beatles and the Who all went to get their army-style jackets, their old-fashioned army style jackets.
Yep.
Cynthia and Mick Jagger went in there and got a guardsman jacket for £5. It's now, the boutique is also thought to have inspired Peter Blake when he was designing the military style costumes worn by the Beatles for the iconic album cover of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, which we've also been to the place where that was photographed, or at least I have.
Yeah, I didn't go on that
walk?
one.
You didn't go on that one? No. Then there's a nice looking building that's just a school, really. And then he talks about the area's connections with Spain, which began in the 1930s during the Spanish Civil War. Spanish refugees and political exiles settled in the west of the city along Portobello Road, etc., etc. Then it is in the walk, but you were demanding. But yes, now you can tell us all about it. The Trellick Tower, sir. Take it away.
Well,
the floor is yours, sir.
I used to live in it's the twin of Trellick, which is called Balfron Tower, which is in Poplar, East London. I think he built Erno Goldfinger, who is the architect. He built Balfron first. That was like the kind of blueprint, and then he built Trellick after he'd done Balfron, and he made a few changes. I mean, there's hardly anything between them. If you look at them side by side, they're kind of almost identical. But yeah, Balfron was the first one, and Trellick came second.
It's 31 stories tall.
31. Yeah, I think Balfron's a little bit taller.
322 feet high. Brutus's slab. Some suspect that Ernesto Goldfinger was the model for the James Bond villain of the same name.
Well, no, he definitely was.
Well, there's another suggestion that it's some fellow called Charles W. Engelhard.
Oh, maybe, I don't know, but I think Fleming's sort of gone on record as saying that he hated Goldfinger's architecture, and that's why he used him.
That's why he made him a villain.
Yeah.
It opened in 1972. For many years, it was nicknamed the Terror Tower. It came to symbolize all that was wrong with inner city high-rise living, with drug dealing prevalent on abandoned stairwells, and residents often being imprisoned in their flats due to high levels of crime. However, the tower's reputation has since undergone a renaissance, and the building is now a Grade 2 listed style icon. It is very similar to Goldfinger's earlier, but no less distinctive Balfron Tower in Poplar, East London.
That's right.
Yeah, we had some high jinks there.
Yep.
Very, very high jinks. Now he talks about Goulburn Road for a bit. It was getting dark now and a bit moody, so it was hard to really get any magic out of it. It says that a guy called, look out for the work of Roger Main. He spent the period 1956 and 1961 on Southam Street, near just east of Goulburn Road, taking a seminal series of photographs of everyday life that are considered to be the best images of London ever recorded. The singer Morrissey has used a number of Main's photographs for the front covers of his records. Then there was a Carmelite monastery, which we missed because he wanted to, people were getting tired now. It had been a long day.
Yeah.
He wanted to do a huge loop just to go to this one thing and then kind of back again, sort of thing. And we decided not to do that and head straight to the last thing.
Yeah.
A innocuous sounding road called Bartle Road.
Yep.
To a small fenced off garden.
Well, there's like kind of there's a row of houses and there's like a gap where a house should be, and it's just got like there's a fence, like, so you can't get into that space. Which yeah, do you want to say it, or
who did it?
It was Christy.
Yes.
See donuts?
This was 10 Rillington. This was 10. This was 10 Rillington Place, where
Serial killer. What was his full name?
John Reginald Christie.
Yeah, John Reginald Christie. Is where his house used to be. It's no longer there, but there's like a big gap, like a house-sized gap, because they've knocked it down.
And the residents petitioned to have the street name changed in order to try to deter ghoulish tourists, of which we were 3.
Yep.
Do you know what it had in the garden? It had, because he killed 7 that we know about.
Yeah.
And you pointed out, you said, what are those like slabs in a row? And there was about 7 of them, wasn't it? And that's just the same design as that churchyard, where they have all the slabs laying down all of the same size, so that nobody in death can like assert, you know, dominance due to money or whatever, you know. And these were all poor.
Yeah.
They were mostly poor working class girls that he, you know, killed. You know, he didn't hang around with any rich girls, you know.
Well, yeah, and they were all probably pregnant as well. So it's like
they were all a little bit on the game, and
got
some of them were a little bit up the spout. Yeah.
So it's not just 7 dead; it's more. So they're little babies in there.
I think the baby makes 8. The one that's definitely had a baby. Yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe. Yeah, you could. Yeah. And then you know, he only lived there from 1943 to 53. So who knows?
Yeah, and what he did prior to that, he could have done it. Could have just done it his whole lifetime.
Yeah. But didn't in the end he couldn't bury them in the garden anymore, and he had them stacked, 2 or 3 stacked in the house. He had a couple of bodies in the house when he invited a woman in that he later went.
He had about 3 in one. He put 3 in one corner and put wallpaper, like did like a wallpaper over them.
But a dead mouse stinks the house out.
Yeah, I know. So like 3 bodies are in a corner, like just covered with a bit of wallpaper. It must have stunk.
It must have stunk to high fucking heaven. But do you know what? I could smell death. They've put a garden there, but I could still smell death there in the mystic realm and in the etheric, in the atmosphere. I could still smell death there.
Yeah. Well, they were. Yeah, he buried them in the garden, didn't he?
Some of them,
a lot of them,
most
of
them,
yeah.
4. But yeah, his wife. I think his wife ended up behind the wallpaper. I must watch the film again, but you recommended the TV series with
what, with Tim Roth? Yeah, Tim Roth plays Chris. But I mean, it's not quite as good as, I don't think it's not as good as Richard Attenborough, but it's just it's just like a different take on the whole thing.
How many episodes? What, Christie was innocent? How many episodes?
Innocent.
No, it's a joke. But how many episodes?
I don't remember, but it's it's like it's like a whole season, TV season.
Yeah, I could do that in a day maybe if I put my mind to it. I feel a bit weird at the end of it. And so that was really the end of the walk. I cannot convey what a kind of kick in the gut the Christie thing at the end. I mean, what a finish. It really did have a psychological punch to it, coming to that at the very end. For me,
well, I thought it was a really good walk, actually. It ticked a lot of boxes for me.
I thought it was going to be a fucking mediocre walk to start with at first. I thought it was all going to be not all Hugh Grant and all that shit,
No. It was much better than that.
And where that girl scored a point was, she took us to that park that was open, that we sat in for.
Yeah. That was really good there.
Yeah. We sat in that for about 15 minutes. Just, well, not 15, maybe 10, but it was nice to be able to get into a park at that time. Yeah, at that time of day,
Yeah. Yeah, I have to remember that, actually, for future occasions.
Yeah. So ultimately, I said on the night I was going to give it 8 out of 10, but I think I was going too far. That was the booze talking. I'm going to give it a 7, and I'm going to give it a very strong 7.
Well, I'd say 8 was good because I think it was like it was like full of juicy little highlights all the way through.
Yeah. I mean, you could have guessed. Well, you were guessing performance, Pink Floyd, and all the rest of it, but you would not have guessed without looking at. You would not have guessed that this is going to finish with fucking 10 Rillington Place. That was completely.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's why I think it's so good. It's like it had all the kind of meat and potatoes, and it had a big jam roly poly at the end.
All right. Well, thanks. Thanks for doing this. We've gone through it quite quickly, but I think it's better to be.
Yeah,
no.
It's not such a slog.
You don't want to get bogged down in reading everything that he's, So.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to definitely now. Can you just tell me that sculptor's name again? The one
Emily Young.
Emily what?
Emily Young.
Emily Young. Okay.
Yeah. And we'll definitely go back down there to do some sound recording.
Yeah, I look forward to that.
I want to get one of those. I have to get one done a week.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to do some sound recording tomorrow night in the queue to go and walk past the Queen's body.
Are you?
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
I'm going to do that. All right. Thanks, Beamish.
All right then.
Speak to you soon.
All right. See you later.
Cheerio.
Bye.
Bye.